A very good evening, viewers. You're watching Across the Republic with me, Rakhta Mishra, and in this show we are going to get you all the latest stories that we are tracking with our ground reportage, extensive Republic reportage. First up are the headlines this hour. Delhi, Jabalpur and now Rajkot. Canopies of airport collapses after few hours of rain, but who is responsible for this apathy? Family who lost their loved ones in the apathy over the monsoon mayhem narrates the ordeal, demands a probe. No relief to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. He is remanded to 14 days of judicial custody. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar holds a key JDU meeting, demands special status for Bihar. Probe in the NEET scam gathers space. CBI arrests a journalist in Jharkhand, conducts searches in Gujarat. Government says Congress opportunists want chaos. Sensational final report by Pune police keeps mentioning blood sample in the report. Statement of biomedical waste firm in question also not recorded. After Owaisi raises Jai Palestine slogan in the parliament, he now claims that Israel flag was put at his residence and ink was thrown as well. And Indian origin astronaut Sunita Williams is stuck in space. NASA finds measures to solve the issue. Prayers in India for her safety. Now viewers, after a portion of the roof collapsed at the Terminal 1 of Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi, now tragedy struck Rajkot Airport as well, where a canopy collapsed due to heavy rainfall. Not just that, a similar incident is being reported from Jabalpur as well. The question here arises, viewers, with some heavy rains, the monsoon has just started. It has not even picked up that kind of pace. Such incidences are being reported from across cities. And who takes responsibility for this? That is the big question. Take a look at this report.
Just a day after roof collapsed at the IGI airport in the national capital. And another similar incident took place in Jabalpur's Dumna airport. Tragedy has now struck at the Rajkot airport, where a canopy broke during maintenance work. Fortunately, nobody sustained any injuries in the incident.
मैं यहाँ अपनी सिस्टर को ड्रॉप करने आया था और ये इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट के हिसाब से और बहुत नया बना हुआ है ये। ऐसी चीज़ें इतनी जल्दी होनी नहीं चाहिए थी। दूसरा फैसिलिटीज़ भी अगर जो छोड़ने आ रहा है उसके लिए कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं है यहाँ पे। कैनोपी में आज यहाँ पे डैमेज हुआ है बारिश की वजह से, आपने भी देखा, कैसा लगा? नहीं, मैंने देखा तो नहीं है, पर ये ऐसे सब टूटा हुआ दिख रहा है, तो स्पेशली डिपार्चर के बिल्कुल पास में ही है, तो पैसेंजर्स को भी असुविधा हो रही है इससे।
Repair work is underway, but the back-to-back infrastructural incidents at India's top airports has put a light on the country's preparedness for the ongoing monsoon season.
बहुत तेज आवाज आई और सारा पूरी की पूरी ये जो छत है वो गाड़ियों के ऊपर गई। उस टाइम पे पैसेंजर उतर रहे थे फ्लाइटें पकड़ने के लिए।
उस वक्त कोई सी फ्लाइट आई थी?
फ्लाइट पकड़ने के लिए जाने के लिए तैयार थी फ्लाइट।
आप इंडिगो के ट्रांसपोर्ट टीम के अंदर हैं, आप बिल्कुल सामने खड़े थे जिस वक्त ये घटना घटी।
बिल्कुल, मैं ऊपर ही था डिपार्चर पे। हाँ जी।
अच्छा, तो उस वक्त आपने क्या क्या देखा?
बहुत तेज आवाज के साथ ये छत गिरी एकदम से और इसमें 3-4 गाड़ियां दब चुकी हैं।
Politics is also ensuing on this. The opposition is blaming the BJP for it.
गलत बात है कि हर किसी विषय में राजनीति लाना, पॉलिटिकली स्टेटमेंट करना। जो कुछ नेताओं ने इसके बारे में कमेंट किए, ट्वीट किए कि ये मोदी जी के समय में इसका इनॉग्रेशन हुआ 2024 में और यही सब जो कंस्ट्रक्शन था वो जो कोलैप्स हो गया। तो मुझे लगता है कि लोग ये देखते हैं कि अब कहाँ राजनीति करे, कहाँ कौन सी घटना होने के बाद राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए।
Yesterday, the Union Civil Aviation Minister held a high-level review meeting with key officials. Key decisions were taken in the meeting. Airlines were advised not to hike the airfare and maintain fare stability. The ministry also has ordered the setup of a 24/7 war room that will ensure passengers get back their refund.
T1 was totally evacuated, closed for the time being, and all the flight movement has been shifted to T2 and T3. And our initial thought process was that we will take care of all the passengers who were distressed at the time. So whoever's flights got cancelled, they are being given a full refund and also alternate travel if that is the choice that they provide.
Flights have been suspended at the IGI Terminal 1 following the incident which killed one person and injured 8 others. But the question remains, is India prepared for the monsoon?
And now we shift focus to Delhi, where Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is once again in judicial custody. Remember, his 3-day CBI remand ended today. There was a hearing in the Rouse Avenue court, and now he has been sent to 14 days of judicial custody. Another setback for Arvind Kejriwal. Here's a report.
Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal will continue to remain in Tihar jail. He has been sent to 14 days of judicial custody. Despite serious allegations against him in the Delhi excise policy scam, Arvind Kejriwal remains defiant. The Aam Aadmi Party backs his innocence. The party staged a protest in the national capital against his arrest by the CBI. Security was increased outside the Aam Aadmi Party headquarters as protesters intensified their protest. Meanwhile, the BJP has hit out against Kejriwal.
जांच एजेंसी कानूनी प्रक्रिया के तहत काम कर रही है और जांच एजेंसी ने एक प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ के तहत अरविंद केजरीवाल को गिरफ्तार किया है। हाई कोर्ट ने 9 अप्रैल को स्पष्ट रूप से कहा है कि शराब घोटाले में अरविंद केजरीवाल की संलिप्तता है और उन्होंने किकबैक में पैसे लिए हैं। ये धरना प्रदर्शन करेंगे और भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दों से ध्यान भटकाने के लिए इस तरह की हरकतें करते रहेंगे।
Kejriwal will be kept in judicial custody till July 12th and will be presented in the court at 2 p.m. on that day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Hemant Soren, the former Jharkhand Chief Minister, he has been released on bail and he was welcomed back, and it was celebration time for his family and party workers. Now, he has, of course, once again targeted the centre and said that the government is misusing the agencies to quell the opposition. Let's take a listen in to what he had to say. Here's a report on that.
A day after Jharkhand High Court granted bail to Hemant Soren, the former Jharkhand Chief Minister and JMM leader was today welcomed by the party workers. Soren hit out at the BJP upon his release.
बहुत तरीके से अलग-अलग रास्ते से आएंगे, हम लोगों को राजनीतिक रास्ते से भटकाने का प्रयास लोगों ने संकल्प लिया है। हम लोग थोड़ा समय लगता है क्योंकि हम लोग के पास वो सोच नहीं है जो उनके जैसा सोच, ये मनुवादी सोच, ये सामर्थ्य सोच को आज जब्त करने का वक्त आ गया है। विधानसभा में हम लोगों ने इसका ताकत का एहसास कराया है और इधर विधानसभा में तो इन लोगों का जो सपना है, उस सपना ये लोग देख रहे हैं, उसको मुंगेरी लाल का हसीन सपना दूषित करता है।
The indie bloc is rallying behind him.
एक व्यक्ति के इशारे पे ये सारी संस्थाएं पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स के पीछे पड़ी हुई थी। दुनिया के उन्हीं मुल्कों में ऐसा होता है जहां तानाशाही प्रवृत्तियां होती हैं। धन्यवाद न्यायपालिका का, समझ में इनको आना चाहिए कि फर्जीवाड़ा करके आपने चुनाव से बाहर रख दिया ना हेमंत जी को, कब तक रखोगे? कभी ना कभी तो न्याय की जीत होगी। इसलिए इस तरह की हरकतों से बाज आइए सरकार बहादुर। ईडी, आईटी, सीबीआई को आपने जो बना दिया है ना, उनके चरित्र को फिर से वापस पुराने दौर में करिए।
Calling allegations against him false.
जिस तरह से लोकसभा में जो जनादेश आया है और राहुल गांधी नेता प्रतिपक्ष बने हैं, तो अब इतना आसान नहीं है मनमानी करना। सरकार बदलने के बाद विपक्ष के नेता पद पर राहुल गांधी आने के बाद ही, या विपक्ष की ताकत जो आपने देखी है वो देखने के बाद ही हेमंत सोरेन जी को बेल मिला है। केजरीवाल को मिलेगा। अब देखिए।
Soren was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate on January 31st in connection with the land scam case.
Today in the national capital, JDU President and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar held a national executive meeting, which was in fact a high-stakes national executive meeting, and several important issues were taken up. A key agenda was set up, and even the special status for Bihar was one of the highlights of that. Here's a report.
The JDU held its national executive meeting today, in which party chief Nitish Kumar demanded a special status for Bihar. The Bihar Chief Minister highlighted economic and development disparities of the state. He said that a special status for Bihar will accelerate Bihar's growth trajectory and address the state's unique challenges.
हम सबका विशेष राज्य का दर्जा या विशेष पैकेज की पुरानी मांग है, वो मांग हम लोगों का कायम है। हम लोगों के जो नेता हैं, ललन सिंह जी हैं, संजय झा जी जो यहाँ पर हैं राज्यसभा में और लोकसभा में जो पार्टी के नेता हैं, ये लोग आने वाले समय में प्रधानमंत्री जी से मिलेंगे और अपनी बात को रखेंगे मजबूती से।
In the same meeting, the JDU appointed Sanjay Jha as the party's national executive president.
बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी हमारे नेता और हम लोगों के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष मुख्यमंत्री नीतीश कुमार जी ने दिया है। मैं उनके प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करता हूं और निश्चित रूप से नीतीश कुमार जी ने बिहार को ट्रांसफॉर्म कर दिया 20 साल में, तो इनके काम को, बात को लेकर के अन्य जगह भी जाना, ये एक उद्देश्य रहेगा। लेकिन बड़ी जिम्मेवारी जो प्रस्ताव सब पास हुआ है उसको आप देख लीजिए। लेकिन अभी मेन यही है कि बिहार में जो चुनाव हुआ अभी, उसने दिखा दिया कि 40 में 30 सीट हम लोग जीते। 177 असेंबली सीट पर आउट ऑफ 243 हम लोग चुनाव जीते हैं। वो तो अब 2025 में जो विधानसभा चुनाव होगा बिहार में, उसके लिए सिग्नल दे दिया बिहार ने।
In the meeting, Nitish Kumar also spoke at length about his loyalty to the NDA.
उन्होंने राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारिणी के सामने घोषणा की है, अब वो सदैव के लिए इसी गठबंधन का हिस्सा रहेंगे, दैट इज एनडीए। दाएं बाएं जाने का, आप चाहे कुछ भी लिखते रहो, दाएं बाएं जाने का हमारा प्रश्न ही पैदा नहीं होता। जो बिहार सरकार ने आरक्षण लागू किया था, जिस पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने, हाई कोर्ट ने बैन लगाई है, उस पर हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जाएंगे।
विशेष राज्य का दर्जा मांगते रहे,
उसके आगे भी मांगते रहेंगे।
पैकेज पर भी राज्यों में क्या
राज्य नरम हुआ है। आज हमने अपने प्रस्ताव में दोनों चीजें रखी।
Nitish Kumar also spoke on how in the next elections he will lead the NDA.
नीतीश कुमार जी के नेतृत्व में 2025 का चुनाव लड़ा जाएगा। इसकी घोषणा न सिर्फ प्रधानमंत्री ने की है, बल्कि राज्यों के जो प्रदेश पार्टी अध्यक्ष हैं भाजपा के और सदन के जो नेता हैं दोनों, वो सार्वजनिक तौर पर ही घोषणा कर चुके हैं।
While Nitish Kumar pledges his allegiance to the NDA, will the centre approve the special status demand for Bihar?
And now, the latest that's happening on the NEET scam. Well, the investigation is underway. It's a multi-city investigation. Day after day, we are seeing the CBI making arrests in the paper leak allegations also. But remember, viewers, the opposition continues to politicize this matter, also raking up in the parliament, not for discussion, but only for disruption, it seems. And now, M.K. Stalin, who is the Tamil Nadu chief minister, he has now written a letter to the prime minister, to the centre, and asking the centre to exempt his state of NEET. He has written a similar letter to Rahul Gandhi, who is the leader of opposition, and also urged the Indie bloc partners to, in fact, pass a resolution and in their respective legislative assemblies on the same. Here's a report to know the latest.
Nationwide uproar on the streets. In Delhi, ruckus and disruption in Parliament.
मैं पीड़ित हूं, मैं अचंभित हूं। भारतीय संसदीय परंपरा इतनी गिर जाएगी कि प्रतिपक्ष के नेता वेल में आएंगे, डिप्टी लीडर वेल में आएंगे।
In Tamil Nadu, the assembly has passed a resolution against the NEET exam. Not just that, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has written a letter to Prime Minister Modi and 8 chief ministers to skip the medical entrance exam NEET. The opposition is riding on the anger of the students.
ये वो एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर हैं जो अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भाग रहे हैं। ये वो एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर हैं जो युवाओं की आवाज़ नहीं सुन पा रहे हैं और युवाओं की जो तकलीफ है उसको सुनने को तैयार नहीं है। ये वो एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर हैं जिनको जब नीट की पूरी कार्रवाई सामने आई थी, नीट के बच्चों ने आकर कहा था किस तरीके से 67 टॉपर्स बन जाते हैं, किस तरीके से ग्रेस मार्क्स अलॉट कर दिए जाते हैं। वो अपनी लड़ाई सुप्रीम कोर्ट में लड़ते हैं क्योंकि एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर के पास समय नहीं है अपनी राजनीति से। क्या ये बेहद शर्मनाक नहीं है कि आज देश के युवा संसद की तरफ देख रहे हैं कि हमारे सांसद इस बात को उठाएंगे कि हमारी क्या तकलीफें हैं। ये सिर्फ युवाओं की बात नहीं है, देश के फ्यूचर की बात है और वो अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भाग रहे हैं।
The government says that it is ready for a discussion.
उन्होंने कहा जब राष्ट्रपति जी ने अपने अभिभाषण में खुद ही जिस प्रसंग पे कांग्रेस उठा रही है उस पे खुद राष्ट्रपति जी ने अपने ओर से उल्लेख किया, हाँ देयर आर सम चैलेंजेस, वी हैव टू लुक इनटू दैट, वी हैव टू इरेडिकेट ऑल दिस प्रॉब्लम्स। ये आदरणीय राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण में अभी की इस नीट परीक्षा के बारे में उल्लेख किया।
CBI has intensified its probe in the case, with multiple accused getting arrested from Hazirabad, Latur and Patna. Banning the NEET exam will only benefit the private organizations. Why use students for political gains?
All right now we're sipping a very short break, viewers, but don't go anywhere. Lots more lined up on the other side of this very short commercial break.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School, Bengaluru.
Get ready to witness the best technology extravaganza of the year. The first edition of the Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards has received an overwhelming number of nominations. Dominating the categories are AI and robotics, healthcare, edutech, fintech, banking and finance, and martech. Groundbreaking innovations and revolutionary ideas from the largest digitalized economy in the world. Join us as we celebrate India's incredible digital growth story. Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards, Friday, 5th July 2024.
आज का दिन भारतीय संसद के इतिहास में इतना दागी हो गया है कि प्रतिपक्ष के नेता स्वयं वेल में आए हैं। ऐसा कभी नहीं हुआ है। मैं पीड़ित हूं, मैं अचंभित हूं। भारतीय संसदीय परंपरा इतनी गिर जाएगी कि प्रतिपक्ष के नेता वेल में आएंगे।
You are telling me all this public conversation was wrong? You think there was no attempt at taking on or publicly criticizing the Prime Minister?
Let me complete. He talked about...
And was that not unfair to the Prime Minister?
No, tell me.
Was that not unfair to the Prime Minister?
Tell me, was the opposition very responsible in what he said? So if you pick up what Mohanji said, fits equally well to opposition parties. It fits.
But he did not specify opposition?
He didn't specify anybody. He will not specify anybody. He said opposition also dragged us in. He clearly said that we also were dragged into election with fake news. He said that, right?
No, but he did not say the Congress did the fake news.
No,
he did not make a single. He did not make a single reference. He did not make a single reference to the Congress, which has accused the RSS of being a fascist.
It only proves my point.
Fascist Nazi type organization.
It only proves my point that he did not name Congress. Why do you want him to name BJP?
Why play with words?
You are naming BJP.
Why play with words?
Mohan Bhagwat.
Why play
you
with
are playing.
It
This is not play with words.
Was this an attempt at a motherly?
I am saying.
Was this an attempt at a motherly reprimand of the BJP by the RSS?
See, for that they have enough time to talk to each other in private. No, he want to speak.
Wouldn't this look like an ego war between the RSS and the BJP?
Why?
Relevance.
They are 10 years they are together. For 10 years they worked together. In Ram Mandir, he was sitting next to Modi ji for the inaugural, right? And he complimented Modi ji continuously all these years that for the work he has done. Why would you come in public to tell him
That's exactly my point, that 10 years you've worked together. Why immediately after the results come out, you start chiding the BJP openly?
Again you are saying this.
You're chiding the BJP openly?
Again saying.
All the elections the BJP won, the RSS never said well done. One election the BJP does a little less than expected. The RSS stands up and see, don't be arrogant. Don't choose the wrong people, don't have the wrong alliances, don't speak the wrong language. It's like a motherly reprimand.
No.
Motherly reprimand.
You yourself said he didn't name Congress. So why are you assuming he named BJP? It's for you to judge, no?
No, it was a conjunction. It was Mohan Bhagwat, Indresh Kumar and the gentleman sitting in front of me, Ratan Sharda. Ratan Sharda said something, and after that, Indresh Kumar, oh, by the way, Indresh Kumar.
He withdrew statement.
Indresh Kumar comes and says...
He withdrew statement in the...
No, but what did he say? Withdrawal.
He did not withdraw his statement.
Withdrawal is not the issue. Withdrawal is not the issue. No, it's not the issue. He said, Indresh Kumar said...
I am not responsible
Indresh Kumar... No, you are not responsible. But उन्होंने क्या कहा? जिस पार्टी ने भगवान राम की भक्ति की, लेकिन अहंकारी हो गए, फिर अहंकार, लेकिन अहंकारी हो गए, उसे 241 पे रोक दिया. किसने रोका? या तो भगवान ने रोका या आरएसएस ने रोका. हालांकि वो सबसे बड़ी पार्टी बनी और जिन लोगों का राम में कोई विश्वास नहीं था, उनके एक साथ मिलकर भी उनको 233-234 पर रोक दिया. Now the question is not that he later went on to backtrack this comment. Because let me explain to you what it says. He says, again the reference is to ahankar. Ahankar, viewers, means arrogance, means pride, means, sort of self-aggrandizement. Now, my question to Ratan Sharda ji is, and he's avoiding this question, is, I don't think all of this is accidental. Mr. Arrogance, ego, self-reflection. You were arrogant, you were egoistic, you must self-reflect, you must introspect. That's why you were stopped. A true sevak is never arrogant. A true saver never uses bad language. You chose your alliances wrongly.
You repeating the same argument twice over will not change the comments. You want me to read my arguments again?
Why was this?
It's waste of time.
No, but why was this going on and on
when
after
Indresh ji withdraws his statement or he makes a new statement, he should pick up that statement, no?
Why?
Why should
the second statement must have been made under pressure.
What is under pressure? He is himself.
There must have been a call from the BJP saying, please don't embarrass us
He
in public.
himself is a senior leader for years together.
Yeah, but the fact is
so why would he withdraw the statement? Because somebody said...
Maybe all of you felt that you went overboard in your initial reactions castigating the BJP.
No, not at all. I still believe I have as a well-wisher what I said about BJP is right. It is for you to draw the conclusion. I know that I have got phones from BJP workers and leaders who said what you said is right. We should relook.
Where the software engineer meets the gifted content writer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University.
With over 1,12,718 startups igniting innovation, driving digital growth. Over 800 million internet users are bridging distances and strengthening bonds across the globe, making India the third largest digitalized country in the world, accounting for around 46% of the world's real-time digital transactions. To celebrate the makers and shakers behind Digital India and India's phenomenal digital yatra, Republic Business is delighted to bring its inaugural Republic Business Emerging Tech Awards.
सर माइक तो दे दीजिए।
माइक मैं बंद नहीं करता हूं, पूर्व में भी आपको व्यवस्था दी थी, यहाँ कोई बटन नहीं होता। राष्ट्रपति अभिभाषण पर माननीय प्रतिपक्ष के नेता, मेरा विषय है कि आपको दो नहीं, आप जितना आपकी पार्टी का समय आप पूरा भी ले सकते हैं, मुझे कोई आपत्ति नहीं, आप डिटेल में बोलना, लेकिन एडजॉर्जमेंट मोशन पर और अन्य विषयों पर पहले ही व्यवस्था दे चुके हैं। इसलिए मैं सदन से आग्रह करूंगा कि आप प्रतिपक्ष के नेता हैं, आप संसदीय मर्यादाओं का पालन करेंगे, ऐसी मेरी अपेक्षा है आपसे। माइक मैं बंद नहीं करता हूं, पूर्व में भी आपको व्यवस्था दी थी, यहाँ कोई बटन नहीं होता।
सर माइक तो दे दीजिए।
Hello, welcome to Republic once again. You know, we've been wanting to do a series of interviews with people who often comment on the news. You see them on my programs as the people who illuminate the panel with their knowledge. And one such person who I truly admire, because he's not just a great Hindu scholar, he's very forthright. And he doesn't hesitate from putting out his political views. And on most occasions than not, I must confess, I like him because he agrees with my views and I agree with his.
but we are not a mutual admiration society. I am very, very fond of and proud of Dushyan Sridhar, who has I'm grateful that you came to my studios today. He's come to our studios and he's come on a very auspicious day, a few days after he's released this book, viewers, which I'm going to be reading. It's Ramayanam, Volume 1, by the one and only great Hindu scholar, Dushyan Sridhar. Namaskar. And Dushyant, namaskar. Thank you for coming. And I must say, that is wonderful surrogate advertising around your neck. What are you wearing, Dushyant?
Yeah, that's the front cover of my book.
That's the front cover of your book, which means you're really into the book.
Very much.
When I spoke to you, and you said that you wanted to spread the word about this book, it seemed you was totally into it, and you sent me a voice message which was very detailed. People write books as authors. It doesn't appear to me you're writing the book as an author only here. Am I correct?
Yes, I am an author in a way, but at the same time, Arnab, I am a devotee of Valmiki Maharishi, who has documented, chronicled, and presented Rama's biography as is. It isn't a myth. It is history for us. True Astikas in Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism in Bharatadesham believe that Ramayanam is history. And what Valmiki has documented is history. And what I have tried presenting through Valmiki's eyes is also history.
So you have, let me ask you about your method first of writing the book, your source material, your inspirations, your illustrations, etc. So can you tell me the method and the way in which you divided the book? Because, and how have you divided the various stories that you enumerate? You have a total of 108 stories in the book.
Yeah. So Valmiki has taken the efforts to give us the biography of Rama, and he taught them to the sons of Rama called Lava and Kusha, and they presented to Rama, and that has been accepted or ratified by Rama. So that is Valmiki's original text of close to 24,000 verses in 7 cantos. We call it Kandams, Bala Kandam to Uttara Kandam. And Arnab, there have been a plethora of people who have written before. My namaskarams to all of them, like say Rajaji, Kamala Subramaniam, R.K. Narayan, and many modern retellings. But what happens is, to a generic reader, to a normal reader, if they read Ramayana, they may have a lot of questions. Where, when, why, how. So all these questions have been answered by a lot of commentators, 6 commentators in Sanskritam in the last 1,000 years. So those teachings have been interspersed and embroidered into my writing in such a way that it doesn't seem like a research book. It is like a normal novel book, a novel that is being read. So that has gone into the book. Inspirations have been drawn from the other Bharatiya versions like Kamban's Ramayanam, Eluthachan's Ramayanam in Malayalam, Tulsidasa's Ramayanam in Awadhi, Jagan Mohan's Ramayanam in Odia, Krittibasa's in Bengali. So many Ramayanams have also inspired this work. Besides, there is a small dash of accepted legitimate creativity in this book, so that I stitch the loose ends, and illustrations have been done for every chapter by Keshav, the famed cartoonist for over 40 years. And then we have also taken illustrations of artifacts and sculptures which are related to the Ramayanam the last 2,000 years from various dynasties.
When you said where, when, etc., when is this period? I mean, if you're saying that this is a historical fact, it's a biography, it's a historical treatise in a way, the Ramayanam. What is the answer to when? When was this happening?
One version of the Puranas speaks about 432,000 years of Kali Yuga. Twice is Dvaparam, thrice is Treta, 4 times is Krita. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10 into 432,000 years, which is 43,20,000 years is one Chatur Yugam. And we believe we are in Kali Yugam, and 2 Yugams before, which is in Treta, this must have happened. But when we look at the date, looking at the astronomical details given in it, a research scholar whom I respect a lot, Jayashree, and I together sat down and we kind of landed at about 5,114 BCE, roughly 7,000 plus years before. That is also taking into corroborated evidence. So we have arrived at that time period. So 2,000 years before roughly before the Mahabharatam, and 7,000 years before from now. So 5,000 years is Mahabharatam before, and 7,000 is Ramayanam is what we spotted. But we also respect the numbers given in the Puranas. So it is true that it is history. The numbers may go +5, -5 this way, that way, but the geographical details, the astronomical details given by Valmiki is astounding and very helpful for us to even be a cartographer looking at the map.
So for young people seeking their roots Is this a good book to read?
Absolutely. 10 plus. I don't know, children mature very young these days, so I wouldn't even put the number 10. But 10 plus years, there's no upper limit.
But I use the word roots. I didn't say religion alone. So is this reading this book essential for every Indian searching for their roots?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even our devout Christian or Muslim friends, 10, 20 generations before their ancestors must have had links with the Bharatiya civilization. They should also read the Ramayana to understand what are the do's and don'ts of a human being. It is not about religion at all. Yes, it belongs to the Hindu religion. There's no doubt that Ramayana is a very respected scripture. But at the same time, what's the harm? Because, you know, in 1980s and 90s, we have seen people across religions watching Ramayana and Mahabharata serials. So why should they not read this book as well? So everybody.
We've been through, I think, you know, in my own lifetime, I see that there was a period when through television, people's interest in Ramayana went up. And then it came down also. I mean, I thought that the early 2000s till the mid 2010s was a period when we sort of lost touch, when Hinduism was not seen to be, if I may use a very generic word, cool. Religion was not seen to be cool, moving away from religion, individualism, you know, focus on the individual. And everything with religion was seen to be archaic. Do you agree with that view? And do you see that change a wee bit now?
Yeah, so there should have been a small lull. I do agree with that. But as a speaker who gives discourses called pravachanams in both my mother tongue Tamil and in English, not just in India, across the other countries as well, day in and day out, I give 250 lectures a year. I see a live audience. I see that the age group between like 15, 20 to 50 years, there is a surge in that. So I see that that curve right.
A young Indian is interested?
Absolutely. See,
why is that?
That's one I can attribute it to some extent to the Honorable Prime Minister of India, because in the last 10 years we have seen that there's no harm in celebrating your civilization. Just because you celebrate your civilization, it doesn't mean you're demeaning the other religion or civilization.
Why do you credit the Prime Minister for it?
Because, see, as a head of the country, it was deemed sometime in the past to not be a part of religious functions, anything to do with Ramayana or Mahabharata, but he sports those symbols on his forehead. He goes one temple after the other, not foregoing his duties. He does dispense or disseminate his duties and knowledge very well. At the same time, he does go to inaugurate corridors and temples that have lost sheen in the past. So that's one thing. And second thing, Arnab, it's also because of the internet and the social media, people feel 10 seconds I can see a beautiful temple. Why should I not visit the temple and no more? So there's no more. Jignasa is always there in the people, and there is a search.
Because there are a lot of people on the media, and you're very active on digital media, who are working more against Hinduism rather than for it. Would you agree with that view? More people who sort of try and associate Hinduism with militancy, with violence, with archaic views, with casteism particularly. Are there more people doing that job as compared to those who are on your side?
I wouldn't. Yeah. So looking at certain videos, I do feel that there is a bias, there is a prejudice. Either it comes from very little understanding of the religion, misinterpretation of verses, or probably they could be funded or paid. I don't know. Because when you look at the videos, it doesn't seem like a natural outpour. It feels as if there's something taught and said. But all that said, there is also a positive aspect, Arnab. As long as you keep having such narratives, people like us will keep working hard to break those narratives.
You're very provocative also. Why did you do the book launch in Chennai? Which is interesting because, by the way, do you know Udayanithi Stalin got bail today?
Yeah.
Are you happy about it?
See, more than being happy or not happy, or not, as a party person of DMK, I wouldn't expect anything different from him. But as a sworn-in minister, he should have been more careful. And I would rather put it this way. When you're a chief minister, you're a prime minister, rather you're a minister itself, you treat everyone equally. You
think he doesn't?
See, otherwise, why would you say eradicate, annihilate, cholera, encephalopathy? What is all this? These are in the words that you expect from a minister.
It comes out of deep hatred. Antipathy.
But that shouldn't be the deep hatred, because the respected wife of the chief minister, Srimati Durga Stalin, does go temple after temple. So it's not that he doesn't see the culture in his house. He sees
what's happening in Tamil Nadu vis-a-vis Sanatan Dharma. You know, it is the state I remember as a child when I went, when I was told by my father that and my mother that we'll go around the south, and the primary reason we went was to go deeper into our Hindu culture.
Very true.
I remember I started with Guruvayappam, went right up through Tamil Nadu. So I remember a state with the maximum temples, and in fact I'm told the maximum number of villages with the Lord Ram in them, name Ram in them. But now we've seen so much, or is it only in the public discourse that we read, anti-Ram, anti-Sanatan propaganda? Was it a conscious decision, therefore, to release this book from Chennai?
Though I was largely born and raised in Bangalore,
sure.
Chennai has been a karma bhumi for me. So I give a lot of discourses, dance productions, heritage tours, all based in Tamil Nadu. So that is like a very state, very close to my heart. That's one reason. And second reason, you did bring up this, that there are plenty of temples, true. The maximum number of domestic and international tourists to Bharat Desham comes to Tamil Nadu. And 85% of the tourists visit those temples constructed by the Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyas, Vijayanagaras, Nayakas. And 80% plus of the state population is Hindu. And it's a huge surge in the attending astikas coming to temples. So there's no doubt, the generic public of Tamil Nadu is very, very devout. And you were talking about the villages. Arnab, the very popular chief minister of Tamil Nadu was called M.G. Ramachandran. His wife was Janaki. Jayalalitha was going temple after temple. She was extremely devout. I can tell you, I gave a show for Jaya TV in the year 2012, and my show was repeated. I got a call at 2 a.m. in the morning stating, "Ma'am wants to see the program again."
Wow.
On Narasimhavataram. So they played it again. So, and Karunanidhi, the name Karunanidhi signifies Rama's name. Karunanidhi Ilalo, because Rama is treated as a treasure trove of compassion. And the ideologue of Dravidian movement, Periyar, was called Ramaswamy. So Ramaswamy, Ramachandran, Janaki, Jayalalitha, Karunanidhi. Where is atheism here? So I feel even the politician names are related to Rama. Forget the village names. Forget the temples. So this is the temple. Bhagavatam says, Utpanna Dravide Saham. Bhakti was born in Tamil Nadu, says Bhagavata Mahapurana. And the Arvas have done a yeoman service. Ramanujacharya, Vedanta Deshika, what intellectuals we had in Sanatana Dharma. Yes, the obnoxious statements of a few political leaders may give an impression that the state is atheist. Absolutely not. There's complete bhakti.
What about the people? What about the people?
Again, based on the voting pattern, we cannot determine. They are all very, very devout. Maybe, this 8,500, khatakat, fatafat and all of that may induce a certain set of people. So things have to change. We have one nice person coming up called Annamalai. So, it does take time, but we do see a promise in certain set of politicians in Tamil Nadu. Though it may take time, a lot of people are hoping to see the change.
You think that will happen? You see, I think that what's happening here, Dushyant, is that people are associating the rise of interest in the Hindu religion with the BJP, with the rise of the BJP. And hence, does that pose a threat?
For example, Rajaji wrote the Ramayana many decades before me. I don't think he belonged to the BJP. So
but that was a different time. There was no BJP then.
Exactly. So because a lot of the leaders with the nationalist, with the religious mindset, with the civilizational ethos, lived in other parties as well. Now that is kind of converging in BJP. But I would say if parties believe that they too have respect for civilizational ethos, they should go to the Ram temple, they should read the Ramayana, burning the copy of Ramayana. All this doesn't serve anybody's purpose.
Yeah, so why do you think that following Sanatan traditions, therefore, just to go deeper into that question, is instantly equivocated with polarization in India? This does not happen elsewhere. But it happens uniquely in India. When the Prime Minister visits the Vivekananda Rock Memorial, for example, for meditation, he's communal. When he visits the Ram Temple, he's communal. So, when the Prime Minister meets the Pope recently, you saw the kind of comments that came out of that. So, I feel somewhere there's a very concerted effort among a section of academia who are used probably by political parties, or maybe who use political parties in turn, and they want to permanently picture Hinduism in a certain light. They don't want Hinduism to be seen to be the source of a great civilization. They want to present Hinduism in a completely different way.
That's also because, Arnab, their understanding of the Hinduism itself as a civilization, as a religion is absolutely minimal. It is in the minus. So their
very colonial, I think, in fact.
Yeah, very, very colonial.
For example,
exactly
when
right
someone
word.
like Christoph Jaffrelot talks about caste.
Yeah.
You know, then I studied anthropology. I keep saying that Louis Dumont, for him, the entire basis of understanding Indian society was caste. Of understanding Hinduism was caste and purity and pollution. Very structured academic thinking, which is aimed at demeaning a religion. My thesis is, and I'd really like your more informed take on this, and I've always wanted to ask a scholar like you of Hinduism. I studied social anthropology, Dushyant, and I found it, the colonial interpretation of social anthropology, very insulting to my religion, because I could not identify the deep thoughts. I mean, I'm no Hindu scholar, but the deep intellectual core of Hinduism, I could not relate that to what Hinduism was presented to me when I studied it in India and abroad, which is that purely based on caste and hierarchy and social stratification and injustice and purity and pollution.
Very true.
That is how it was presented to me.
Very true.
That is somewhere ingrained in the minds of Western academia. Now, it's Christoph Jaffrelots and all these Louis Dumonts on one side, and people like you on the other. How is this? How are we going to balance things out? How will we put the right picture out about Hinduism, not just in India and abroad? Slightly long question, and a greater responsibility on people like you, Dushyant, since you're young, you're English speaking, to also take this globally.
Yes or no? See, for example, when I'll just make this very brief with regards to caste. See, Rama is a Kshatriya. He kills a Brahmana called Ravana. So I don't think anywhere does the Varna of a Vaishya or a Shudra come into picture. It is a Brahmana who's being killed by a Kshatriya.
But that's occupation.
To a large extent, there is some extent to birth because he was a son of a Brahmana, but at the same time, we also deal with what I'm trying to say is they shouldn't picturize the book as a Brahminical hegemony because a Brahmana is being killed by a Kshatriya, written by Valmiki, who was earlier a dacoit and then because of Narada's grace became a writer. So there's, and Guha, a boatsman, a Nishadanam Neta, Kapikulapatihi, Kapishavari. That Guha is the most Atma Samassakha. Rama says there's no greater friend than you, Guha. And Shabari, she lives in the forest. Nishadanam Neta, Kapikulapatihi, Kapishavari. She was addressless. Rama goes to her hermitage and accepts her fruits. He goes, seeks friendship with Hanuman and Sugriva, who were of Vanara Jati. So Ramayana in a way signifies what the society was in those days. So vis-a-vis the projection what the West makes of it. That's also because either they would have had an agenda or they were deficient in the language in which the book was rendered, so they came up with misinterpretations or wrong translations.
100% agenda.
So that's how these scholars too follow that. So Ramayanam is a beautiful picture of how the society was in those days or not.
But do you think today there is a nexus of a lobby that supports Sanatan baiters, a nexus of NGOs, academics, who have sort of monopolized their authority over what is popular culture, what is popular discourse? And what happens is that since these are the people who hold academic positions, see Dushyan, when an academic writes a book as opposed to when a Dushyan Sridhar writes a book, an academic writes a book in an academic way. So that gets footnoted, appendicized, you know, it goes through that quote-unquote university rigor. And I read somewhere that artificial intelligence picks up things that can be quoted, sourced, etc. in a certain way, and that forms a certain circle of opinion. And that circle of opinion becomes self-perpetuating.
Correct.
So if there are 5 people who academically say Dushyan Sridhar is right-wing communal fanatic, and if you can get 5 Christoph Jaffrelots to write that, then it becomes part of an enduring academic legacy, and hence that gets perpetuated in discourse as well. I'm asking you, how do you fight that?
I have 300 footnotes on this in this book. Besides being a a retelling of Valmiki's Ramayana, 300 footnotes, of which 30 are from copperplate inscriptions which are 1000 years old. There are 60 plus illustrations right in the last 2000 years of Gupta dynasty till the Nayaka dynasty. So just to say that this is building a fictional understanding of the Ramayana. So all these are footnoted, have been corroborated, ratified. See, the point is, Arnab, whether I'm called right or left is not the problem. I'm saying Ramayana is right. It isn't myth. It is history. It is right. So that's the point I'm trying to prove. When people come for debates, they should be able to quote the verses from the Ramayana. They cannot just say that I read somewhere in the Wiki Purana, I read somewhere in... that doesn't work. You quote the source. You quote that particular verse. If someone asks you, what Sumitra told Lakshmana, I should say Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. That's how we have been trained. We have not been trained to read the English translations which say, oh Lakshmana, the lotus-petaled one, comma, semicolon. No. We know the verse, we quote. So it's just like chemistry. When you deal with Mendeleev's table, you deal with Kotler in marketing, same is the case with, there's a very academic approach. And if there are historians of the past who have written a different version of Ramayana and they wish to debate, I can openly invite them for a debate.
So Dushyan, finally, people would say that if you were to look at a very sort of 50s, 60s Congress version of what good and bad is in this country, then people would say that, well, Dushyan Sridhar is very well informed, he's very well read, he's very articulate, he's a great performer, a great speaker, but he's not tolerant. He's too aggressive, he's too argumentative, and that goes against the ethos of Hinduism. I like it personally, you know, and a lot of young people would like you, but I you know, when I saw that you refused to perform at the Madras Music Academy over your profound disagreement with the choice of the Sangeet, I think, Kalanidhi Award designate T.M. Krishna. You said that you were pained by his statements on Ayodhya, on Ram and Dharma. Now, question is, why would you have such a big argument over that kind of issue? I mean, you have on many, and to that, your critics would say, Hinduism is about tolerance, accept their point of view. Their disagreement and your acceptance of their disagreement is at the core of Hindu philosophy. So can I get your take on that?
Very quickly, Arnab, the Madras Music Academy is a place where I've performed many times. I have immense respect for it. Great stalwarts like M.S. Subbalakshmi, M.L. Vasantakumari have received this Sangeeta Kalanidhi Award. Great stalwarts, great bhaktas they were. So my problem is not either with the academy or with the award. My only disagreement was with the award being given. I'm no musician, I'm a performing speaker, I intersperse music, that's all. But the point here, point of contention was, we as speakers or musicians make a livelihood, whatever we charge, based on the kritis sung by Tyagaraja, who had immense devotion for Rama. When I sing their composition with not a penny going for their samadhis or museums, and I make a livelihood out of it, and the next day I choose to sing on Periyar, who hung a chappal mala around Rama, neither can I perform, nor can I stand on the same stage as him. I wouldn't abuse the musician because he'll be really talented. But for me, it is a question of moral travesty. When you make a livelihood out of singing praises about Rama, your family runs the money out of it. You cannot speak about or sing about a person who abused Rama. He had obnoxious statements. Periyar's statements were so high, even Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in a letter called him a lunatic. So I think at least the Congress people should respect Nehru for his words. So I wouldn't want to perform on such a stage, and if I'm losing money, I'm losing an opportunity, so be it. I have other avenues to get it.
Well, fantastic. Well, I like your attitude. And though there's been limited time on this, I hope I have another conversation with you when you come up with your second volume and your third volume after that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll plug this again. It's a HarperCollins book, Ramayanam, Volume 1. My weekend reading. You can make it yours as well. Dushyan, it's a pleasure to have you with a network which considers you very much one of its own.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You must be often left wondering through the week that many issues that register in your mind as important are lost as a blip in the daily grind. I'm going to help you. Pick up those issues, untangle them, dissect the politics behind them, and ultimately give you a broad sweep, a deep dive.
induction of RSS abusers, you spoke about this, induction of congressmen who had actively promoted the bogey of saffron terror and persecuted Hindus, who called 2611 RSS ki sajish and branded the RSS as a terrorist organization, became BJP leaders without as much of a regret note that they had made a mistake. Who are you talking about? Name the person. No, kya hai?
I put the name.
No, tell me who is the person.
This person later, after the article of 4 days, he released a regret letter from BJP letterhead from BJP headquarters, Kripa Shankar Singh. He said, I made a mistake, and I was influenced by Digvijay Singh, and they said that there is a long letter he has sent. So he released the letter. So when you express your opinion, somebody listens.
But you thought that was a mistake. It was a terrible mistake, wasn't it? That why do you think the BJP did it? I was also wondering, why did the BJP go all out to get people who he thought was winnable or was adding numbers in individual constituencies?
Now, whether he's winnable or not, that would be BJP
or adding
ground report. I wouldn't know.
He thought it would hurt others.
Naturally, these are the kind of people who lost elections.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
With over 1,12,718 startups igniting innovation, driving digital growth, over 800 million internet users are bridging distances and strengthening bonds across the globe, making India the third largest digitalized country in the world, accounting for around 46% of the world's real-time digital transactions. To celebrate the makers and shakers behind Digital India and India's phenomenal digital yatra, Republic Business is delighted to bring its inaugural Republic Business Emerging Tech Awards.
Get ready to witness the best technology extravaganza of the year. The first edition of the Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards has received an overwhelming number of nominations. Dominating the categories are AI and robotics, healthcare, edutech, fintech, banking and finance, and martech. Groundbreaking innovations and revolutionary ideas from the largest digitalized economy in the world. Join us as we celebrate India's incredible digital growth story. Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards, Friday, 5th July 2024.
Did Narendra Modi go wrong? Is there a problem between Mohan Bhagwat and Narendra Modi? Does the Sangh believe the BJP has grown too big for its boots? Was the Sangh angry with JP Nadda's interview in the Indian Express where he said that we do not need the electoral help of the RSS? These are questions on everyone's conversation.
I do not know what Mohanji thought because Mohanji spoke after 4 days of my writing the article. It just shows that Swayamsevak have similar thinking. And he's a supreme leader. He thinks before he speaks, and every word of his is measured. As I said, the context was wrongly chosen. And secondly, he also talked about the fake news which affected RSS also. RSS was dragged into the election, which was not done. And since you talked about provocation, there is no provocation. It's just that organizer asked me to, write an article about lessons of 2024. And I sat down to write, and all the things that came to my mind, I put it down. And
you were writing on
organizer is good enough.
You were writing on your own.
Yeah, organizer good enough that they said, I asked them whether they want to publish it. They said, there is no harm at all.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
This is Republic and you're watching This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking you through a gruesome murder story coming in from Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh. A 21-year-old girl was brutally assaulted and then murdered by her husband. 24-year-old has now been taken into custody by the Muzaffarnagar police. In fact, an attempt was actually made by her husband to dispose of the body. The body was chopped into 4 parts and then it was put in a sack, disposed of. That's story number 1. We then get you the story of the Pune Porsche. In fact, this time, Pune police has made it very clear that they really do not care much about this case. They make no mention of the blood samples in the charge sheet that has been filed. And not just that, they've not even recorded the statement of key people in the charge sheet that has been filed. All this and much more on this edition of This Is Exclusive. But up first, these are the headlines we are tracking at this hour. Ladies and gentlemen, Delhi, Rajkot, Jabalpur. Canopies of airport collapses after few hours of rain, but who is responsible for the apathy? Family who lost their loved ones in apathy over monsoon mayhem narrates ordeal demands probe. No relief to Arvind Kejriwal. Delhi Chief Minister remanded to 14 days judicial custody. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar holds here key JDU meet demands special status for Bihar.
राष्ट्रपति जी के अभिभाषण के उपरांत धन्यवाद प्रस्ताव होती है उस सारे विषय में इसको उनको अवसर है चर्चा करने के लिए और सरकार की ओर से मैंने कल ही आश्वस्त किया है स्पष्टता के साथ कहा है कि हम सभी प्रकार की चर्चा के लिए प्रस्तुत हैं.
Probe in NEET scam gathers pace. CBI arrests a journalist in Jharkhand, conducts searches in Gujarat. Government says Congress opportunists want chaos. Sensational final report by Pune police keeps mentioning blood sample in the report. The statement of biomedical waste firm in question also not recorded. After Owaisi raises Jai Palestine slogan in Parliament, he now claims that Israel flag was put at his residence and ink was thrown as well. Indian origin astronaut Sunita Williams is stuck in space. NASA finds measures to solve issue. Prayers in India for her safety. It's a story of a grisly murder coming in from Uttar Pradesh's Muzaffarnagar. In fact, while the police has already taken action, this is a grim reminder of what we had seen here in the national capital too. Ladies and gentlemen, 21-year-old was brutally assaulted by her husband. Then her body was chopped off into multiple parts, disposed of in a sack. In fact, an attempt was actually being made by the accused in this particular case to dispose of the body in a river. That's when locals actually spotted him trying to dispose of the body. In fact, the motive of the murder is not known at this point in time. But our reporter on the ground getting us a detailed report as to what really happened and what is it that the family members have to say.
We are just standing outside Arbaz, the butcher who killed his wife by cutting her into 21 pieces. So as per the sources, what the police is still questioning the neighbors as to ascertain the details of the girl, but so far they haven't got any details so far. What we have got to know that during interrogation, Arbaz revealed that her wife was from Kotdwar in Uttarakhand, and they were in a relation. They married 6 months back. I will now request my video journalist to just pan across and show this is exactly the house where Arbaz lived before he committed this murder, and this is exactly the place where he has lived. And let us remind our viewers that he mercilessly killed his wife and chopped her into 21 pieces, and now he is in jail. And the official complaint of this case is lodged in the Kotwali Nagar police station in Muzaffarnagar. Now it needs to be seen as to where this case is headed. We would like to remind our viewers that the couple married 6 months ago, and lately there were some problems that were happening between them, due to which certain fights used to take place, and they were living in a rented flat, and the girl named Chahat didn't inform her relatives before marrying her. This side Aditya reporting for Republic TV, Muzaffarnagar. आपके बेटा अरबाज वो जो जेल में गया है, क्या कारण था उसने अपनी बीवी को मारा, थोड़ा बताएंगे मैम? मैम कुछ बताएंगे? अभी आप जेल में है, क्या आगे?
हमें नहीं पता था, हमारे साथ अलग रहता वो।
अच्छा, लेकिन कुछ ऐसी क्यों उसने ऐसा करा? आपने मतलब आपको ऐसा पता नहीं लगा? ऐसी
परेशानी हो के करा होगा, कोई थोड़ा ही कोई करे।
अच्छा, कुछ थोड़ा सा उसके आदतों के बारे में बताइए, किस तरह की उसके दिनचर्या थी, वो क्या करता था, मतलब उठकर उसके कैसे वो, अब मैं मतलब हमारे को पता लगा कि वो एक रेंटेड फ्लैट में रह रहा था, आप बिना बताए। तो आपने कुछ कहा नहीं जब वो रेंटेड फ्लैट में रह रहा था?
बच्चों और छुप से रख रखी थी उसे, क्या नाम, मारे बगैर मर्जी के रह रहता है अलग।
सर, कल जो हमने देखा, ये जो अरबाज लड़का जो अपनी वाइफ के, जिसने अपने टुकड़े टुकड़े करे अपनी वाइफ के, बहुत बेरहमी से जिसका कत्ल करा, आप इस पूरे इंसिडेंट को कैसे देखते हैं? मतलब हाउ डू यू सी दिस इंसिडेंट?
इसमें देखिए कि परसों रात जो है पुलिस को मुखबिर के माध्यम से सूचना प्राप्त हुई कि इसमें 2 लड़के नदी के किनारे कुछ संदिग्ध गतिविधियां कर रहे हैं। जब पुलिस द्वारा तुरंत मौके पे पहुंचा गया तो वहां पे एक बोरे में वहां पे ये इसको नदी में बहाने की कोशिश कर रहे थे। इसमें से पुलिस को देख के एक आदमी वहां से फ़रार हो गया, जो दूसरा आदमी है उसको वहां से हिरासत में लिया गया, और जब इस बोरे को खुलवा के देखा गया तो उसमें एक महिला की लाश थी, जिसमें उसका सर कटा हुआ था और उसके हाथ की कुछ उंगलियां कटी हुई थी। जब इससे पूछताछ की गई तो इसने बताया कि ये एक चाहत नाम की महिला है, जिससे इसने अपने बिना परिवार वालों की सहमति की और बिना परिवार वालों को बताए इससे इसने अपने स्तर से शादी कर ली थी, और लगभग 6 महीने पहले इससे शादी की थी। और इसके बाद में इनके आपस में जब दोनों के बीच में अनबन होने लगी तो इसने आवेश में आके और इसका अपने एक और दूसरे साथी के साथ मिलके, और जहां ये कमरे में किराए पे रहते थे वहां पे इसने इसका मर्डर कर दिया, और ये शव को छिपाने के इरादे से वहाँ नदी में लेके गए थे। उसी वक्त पुलिस ने इन दोनों को पकड़ा है। इसमें शव के बहुत ज़्यादा टुकड़े टुकड़े नहीं किए, इसमें उसका सर अलग किया उसने, और उसके अलावा उसकी हाथ की उंगलियां जो है उसने काटी है। पुलिस ने इसमें मौके से पंचायतनामा भरवा के पोस्टमार्टम की कार्रवाई की है। और जो महिला है ये उत्तराखंड के कोटद्वार की बताई जा रही है, जिसके परिजनों के बारे में अभी पुलिस जानकारी जुटा रही है। और ये संभवतः ये लगभग इसमें प्रेम विवाह में इन्होंने शादी की थी, और फिर इसके बाद जो है ये घटना हुई है।
सर, जैसे आप कह रहे हैं कि 2 लड़के थे, एक को पकड़ लिया गया, एक अभी भी फरार है, तो कब तक अभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन कब तक वो पकड़ा जाएगा? कब तक हम समझ सकते हैं कि वो कब पकड़ा जाएगा? और पुलिस प्रशासन इस चीज़ में क्या कर रही है?
इसमें जैसे ही ये घटना का अनावरण हुआ था, इसमें तुरंत एक एसपी सिटी के नेतृत्व में टीम का गठन कर दिया गया था, और इसमें उस जो वांछित अभियुक्त है उसके संबंध में कई क्लू पुलिस को मिले हैं, और शीघ्र ही उसकी जो गिरफ्तारी सुनिश्चित की जाएगी।
कब तक, कितना टाइम लग सकता है?
देखिए, किसी भी अभियुक्त की गिरफ्तारी के बारे में एग्जैक्ट टाइम नहीं कहा जा सकता। पुलिस अपना काम कर रही है, लगातार जो उसके संभावित स्थान है वहाँ पे दबिश दे रही है, और इसमें शीघ्र ही गिरफ्तारी की जाएगी।
सर, अगर मैं पूछूं ऐसा ग्रुसम ये जो केस सामने आया मुजफ्फरनगर में, हम मान सकते हैं मुजफ्फरनगर में क्राइम को कंट्रोल करने के लिए पुलिस प्रशासन क्या कर रही है? पिछले कुछ समय से कितना क्राइम रेट बढ़ा है कि घटा है, किस तरह की स्थिति है?
देखिए, अगर आप क्राइम का डेटा कंपेयर करेंगे तो मुजफ्फरनगर में एज सच कोई क्राइम जो सनसनीखेज क्राइम जिसकी आप बात कर रहे हैं उसका कोई परसेंटेज बढ़ा नहीं है, इनफैक्ट उसमें कमी आई है। और जो भी इस तरह के अपराध होते हैं उसमें मुजफ्फरनगर पुलिस जो है वो अपराधियों के खिलाफ कड़ी से कड़ी कार्रवाई करती है और उसमें जो भी कोई सनसनीखेज अपराध होता है उसको माननीय न्यायालय से उसको जल्द से जल्द सजा दिलवाने का काम भी मुजफ्फरनगर पुलिस इसमें लगातार करती रहती है। थैंक यू।
Well, just a quick recap of what we know so far. While the police has already taken action and the accused has already been arrested, the question is whether at all this was premeditated, given the fact that now complaints are essentially emerging that an attempt was also made in the past. Now, that's what the police is essentially investigating at this point in time. Let me also bring in my colleague Aditya, who's joining us on this broadcast from Muzaffarnagar. Aditya, you've spoken to the police. Walk us through the details that you're picking up. Was this premeditated? Was there an attempt made in the past too?
Well, yes, Shavan, a gruesome case of murder has been reported in Muzaffarnagar city. And what we can remind our viewers that sections, in this case, sections 302, 201 and 120B have been applied against the accused. So now let us explain our viewers actually what these sections are. Section 302 pertains to murder, where the imprisonment can go up to life imprisonment, and whereas section 201 pertains to the tampering of evidence. You know, when the accused husband was trying to disperse the body of her wife, the one accomplice is on the run and the other accomplice is in police custody. So it needs to be seen as to where this case is headed. So far, the police is just investigating the case, and in this case, they are questioning the neighbors as to ascertain the details of the girl, as to what are the details, but they haven't been able to get all the details about the girls. So it needs to be seen. Right. But during the interrogation, the husband... so it needs to be seen as to where this case is headed. Yes. Back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Aditya, for getting us the ground report from Muzaffarnagar. Should we focus now to the story that we have been tracking for the last several weeks? The spotlight that has been put on the Pune Porsche case. We've been saying right from day one that the Pune police has completely botched up the entire investigation, starting with the blood samples of the VVIP killer, which was tampered with, and the fact that not just that, there have also been an angle of bribe. The accused in this particular case attempted to bribe the doctors in Sassoon Hospital. The recent revelation that has been made is this, that the blood sample, which was inconclusive, the first blood sample of the VVIP killer was inconclusive, and that's the reason why a DNA sampling was done. First of all, the Pune police had lied about the fact that they had taken a second sample as a precautionary measure. The second is that the company, which was basically responsible for the biomedical waste in Sassoon Hospital, was not even taken into record, because remember, the blood sample was actually destroyed, was thrown in that medical waste. Take a look at this report. We have put together the lapses on the part of the Pune police.
A brat and his Porsche, a murder and the Pune police's cover-up. After blatant collusion between the Pune police, the mafia family of killer brat and politicians, the Pune police is now not even hiding its compromised position in the case. Final report does not even mention about the blood sample. Shockingly, in the final report of the Pune police has conveniently skipped to mention the blood sample. What's more is that the statement of the biomedical waste company has not even been recorded. The blood sample was dumped into a bin managed by the said company. The final report of the Pune police confirms that the administration is not even hiding its complicity in the cover-up anymore.
The breaking news now coming in is with regards to the final report that has been submitted to the Juvenile Justice Board by the Pune Police. And once again, it is now confirmed that the Pune Police essentially does not really care about this entire investigation. In the final report, they make zero mention, absolutely no mention of the blood samples. Second, they've not even recorded the statement of the biomedical waste company that was responsible for collecting the medical waste from Sassoon Hospital. Remember, the blood sample was disposed of. Joining me on this broadcast is my colleague Sandeep, getting us the latest details. Two clear example of how Pune Police has completely botched up the investigation.
Right, Shawan, absolutely. As the final report has been filed in this very matter, one of the important point out here is that, the police has gone on to in fact mention the way the blood samples were in fact changed. The blood sample was in fact swabbed in Sassoon Hospital. Not only that, the final report also mentions about Sunil Tingre's men, Ashfaq Makandar, getting involved into this and how blood sample were in fact changed. Now the blood sample were collected by Dr. Shri Hari Harnol, who was the CMO at the Sassoon Hospital, who was in fact arrested. Now he threw that original blood sample of the juvenile into a dustbin, and that blood sample were in fact dumped into the biomedical waste. Now there is a company which manages the biomedical waste of the Sassoon Hospital. Ultimately, the Pune Police has clearly mentioned that they are yet to record the statement of the biomedical waste company officials who in fact manages the biomedical waste, and ultimately the blood sample was the crucial evidence in this very matter, but that has not been recovered. So the Pune Police has mentioned about how blood samples were in fact changed, how the blood samples were swabbed, what all action they have taken against the doctors who were in fact involved in this very manipulation of blood sample. Not only that, around 150 pages final report has been filed, and in fact it also mentions about how the driver was in fact kidnapped by the grandfather. So ultimately, what all investigation and what all actions that have been in fact taken by the Pune Police, that have been jotted down in this very final report, which is around 150 pages. But the biggest loophole in this very matter, the biggest lapse in fact, is the blood sample that is disappeared, that has disappeared, and the Pune Police is not in fact in a position to in fact tell the court that they have the blood sample. Neither they are in the position to tell that where exactly is the blood sample, and in fact this is a clear-cut failure of Pune Police, wherein they don't have the original blood sample of the juvenile, which could have in fact been a crucial evidence to prove the fact that the juvenile was under the influence of alcohol. Although they have submitted the bills of the clubs and the bar where the juvenile had consumed alcohol, but ultimately whether it is admissive before the court or not, that is something very crucial. Ultimately, all onus on Pune Police. Where are the blood samples of the juvenile?
Well, thank you very much, Sandeep, for getting us the latest details. The question here is that they have already admitted that there was no blood sample. Now it's official that the case has been completely diluted. Will the state government take up this matter before the Supreme Court? In fact, remember, the High Court has already asked them to send the juvenile to his aunt as part of the observation. Will this order of the Bombay High Court be challenged by the state government? Shifting focus now to the other story that we are getting to you from the state of West Bengal. After Sandesh Khali, a similar incident has now taken place in Kuch Bihar. The government says that they've already made arrests in this case, but the BJP has upped the ante, saying that there is absolute lawlessness in the state of West Bengal. In fact, you've had the leader of the opposition, Shubhendu Adhikari, taking up this entire matter. The NHRC has stepped in. Cognizance has been taken by the NHRC. Republic Bangla reached out to the victim, who is also a member of the BJP Minority Morcha. In fact, after the results that came in, there are several BJP workers who have been complaining about their safety. In fact, this victim who was brutally assaulted, stripped, violated, has spoken to Republic Bangla, talks about the challenges that she has faced and the fact that how they have been living in fear. Listen in to what the victim had to tell my colleague from Republic Bangla.
সেই মুহূর্তে কি ঘটেছিল? তার কারণ পুলিশের তরফ থেকে বলা হচ্ছে যে এটাকে নাকি রাজনৈতিক রং দেওয়া হচ্ছে।
সব টিএমসি চক্রান্ত আমাকে এইরকম করছে। কয়দিন থেকে বুদ্ধি করে বোধ পাই অল্প স্বল্প যে নেতালা সবসময় আমার বাড়ির পাশে আইসে একটা টিএমসির বাড়িতে এইরকম করে গল্প করে যে বলে ধরবো, তখন কাগালা ধরে নাম তো আর কয় না। তারপর সকালবেলা ওইরকম মিটিং করে দিচ্ছে, তা বোধ পাইয়া নদীর পর গেছি 10টা 11টার সময়, যে আসি দিচ্ছি আর অর্ধ আস্তাতে একটা মহিলা টপ করে যে একপাশে কয় কি দৌড়েন দৌড়েন, এলে বাকি মহিলা দৌড়ি যেমন কে কত বিজিবি করে আজ দেখামো যে চুলির
মানে আচমকাই বেশ কয়েকজন মহিলা এসে ভিড় করে।
হ্যাঁ, সেলা দৌড়ি এসে চুলের মুঠগুলো ধরিয়ে যে ছেঁচলে দিচ্ছে, নাইলে দৌড়ি এসে কাপড় চাপড় সব ছেড়িয়ে নদীতে ফেলে দিছে। দিয়ে খাই ছেঁচলায়, একবার এই পাশে ছেঁচলায় একবার ও পাশে ছেঁচলায়, এত ছেঁচলায়।
কারণ কি শুধুমাত্র আপনি বিজেপি করেন সেই কারণে?
হ্যাঁ, মুসলিম মেয়েরা কেন বিজেপি করি এর জন্য এরকম করছে। তারপর এত চিগড়ি তাও কাউ শুনে না। আমার ছোট বাচ্চারা দৌড়ি যে কয় আমার মা ছাড়ি দেওয়া মরি গেল কি কান্দি দিচ্ছে, বাচ্চারা হাউ খেয়েছে, তাও বাচ্চারা ধাক্কে ধাক্কে ফেলে দেয়। অন্য একটা মহিলা এসে পুরুষগুলো ধাওয়া দেয়, কয় কি কয় আগাইবেন না, যাই আগাইবেন তাই মরবেন। তারপর আমার ভাগ্নি একটা আসি কয় এইভাবে বেউজ্জত কে করছেন, কাপড়া দিয়ে ঢাকা দেয়, কাপড়া টাপড়া নিয়ে ফালটায়। বউটি এসে তাও ফেলে দেয়, দিয়ে গোবরের গাড্ডার চুকবি ধরে, পানির চুকবি ধরে, কয় কি এনে মারি ফেলাম। মাও তো বেড়ে অন্য মানুষকে ডাকে গিয়েছে। আর সেগুলো
প্রাণে মারার ধমকি কারা দিয়েছিল?
ওই যে টিএমসিলে কয় কি কয়লে তোকে আজ মারি ফেলাম, কায় তোকে বাঁচে রয়েছে, কাও আসবে না। সেগুলো কং মা মুখ বাসা, মা মুখ মারলে, তা মাও তো শুনে নাই করতে গেছে। তারপর একাই পড়ছি চড়ি বসে দেখি লোক কাতার হয়ে আছে, কাও আগায় না। তারপর পুরুষগুলো দাঁড়িয়ে দাঁড়িয়ে আছে, তখন মহিলা কয় আয় এলেক দিয়ে তো গাছে ধর্ষণ করবো, রেপ করবো, এইভাবে কয়। তখন আমার জিউটে উড়ি গেছে।
আগে কোনো সময় কি কোনো রকমের ধমকির সম্মুখীন হতে হয়েছে? কেউ এসে ভয় দেখিয়েছে, কেউ ধমকি দিয়েছে, এরকম কিছু ঘটেছে?
হ্যাঁ, জবেদ আলী আমাদের বাড়িতে একটা আত্মীয় হচ্ছিল 2 দিন আগে, একটা ভাগ্নি বউ হচ্ছে, ভাগ্নিটি হচ্ছে, ভাগ্নিটার মুকুরত কয় কি কয়লে চুলির মধ্যে বাড়ি করে ধ্যাদরান, তা মইকং একটা সাগাই হচ্ছে, বাড়ি ঢুকে দেখতো কায় হচ্ছে। তারপর ওইরকম করে। তারপর খায়রুল নেতা কারো বাড়ি যাওয়ার দেয় না, ঝাড়ে বাড়ি যান, তাই কয় কি কয়লে কেন কয় এইরকম করে।
Shifting focus now to the urban apathy that we have witnessed in the last 24 hours. Delhi, Jabalpur, Rajkot, similar situation. Newly built airports, canopies that have collapsed. Who exactly takes responsibility for the death of several people in the collapse that has taken place not just in Delhi but other places too? There's already a blame game that has taken place between the previous governments and the ruling dispensation. Questions essentially being raised that do lives really matter in this country?
Just a day after roof collapsed at the IGI airport in the national capital. And another similar incident took place in Jabalpur's Dumna airport. Tragedy has now struck at the Rajkot airport, where a canopy broke during maintenance work. Fortunately, nobody sustained any injuries in the incident.
मैं यहाँ अपनी सिस्टर को ड्रॉप करने आया था और ये इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट के हिसाब से और बहुत नया बना हुआ है ये। ऐसी चीज़ें इतनी जल्दी होनी नहीं चाहिए थी। दूसरा फैसिलिटीज़ भी अगर जो छोड़ने आ रहा है उसके लिए कोई फैसिलिटी नहीं है यहाँ पे।
कैनोपी में आज यहाँ पे डैमेज हुआ है बारिश की वजह से, आपने भी देखा, कैसा लगा?
नहीं, मैंने देखा तो नहीं है, पर ये ऐसे सब टूटा हुआ दिख रहा है तो स्पेशली डिपार्चर के बिल्कुल पास में ही है, तो पैसेंजर्स को भी असुविधा हो रही है इससे।
Repair work is underway, but the back-to-back infrastructural incidents at India's top airports has put a light on the country's preparedness for the ongoing monsoon season.
बहुत तेज आवाज आई और सारा पूरी की पूरी ये जो छत है वो गाड़ियों के ऊपर गई। उस टाइम पे पैसेंजर उतर रहे थे फ्लाइटें पकड़ने के लिए।
उस वक्त कोई सी फ्लाइट आई थी?
फ्लाइट पकड़ने के लिए जाने के लिए तैयार थी फ्लाइट।
आप इंडिगो के ट्रांसपोर्ट टीम के अंदर हैं, आप बिल्कुल सामने खड़े थे जिस वक्त ये घटना घटी?
बिल्कुल, मैं ऊपर ही था डिपार्चर पे। हाँ जी।
अच्छा, तो उस वक्त आपने क्या क्या देखा?
बहुत तेज आवाज के साथ ये छत गिरी एकदम से और इसमें 3-4 गाड़ियां दब चुकी हैं।
Politics is also ensuing on this. The opposition is blaming the BJP for it.
गलत बात है कि हर किसी विषय में राजनीति लाना, पॉलिटिकली स्टेटमेंट करना। जो कुछ नेताओं ने इसके बारे में कमेंट किए, ट्वीट किए कि ये मोदी जी के समय में इसका इनॉग्रेशन हुआ 2024 में और यही सब जो कंस्ट्रक्शन था वो जो कोलैप्स हो गया। तो मुझे लगता है कि लोग ये देखते हैं कि अब कहाँ राजनीति करे, कहाँ कौन सी घटना होने के बाद राजनीति नहीं करनी चाहिए।
Yesterday, the Union Civil Aviation Minister held a high-level review meeting with key officials. Key decisions were taken in the meeting. Airlines were advised not to hike the airfare and maintain fare stability. The ministry also has ordered the setup of a 24/7 war room that will ensure passengers get back their refund.
T1 was totally evacuated, closed for the time being, and all the flight movement has been shifted to T2 and T3. And our initial thought process was that we will take care of all the passengers who were distressed at the time. So whoever's flights got cancelled, they are being given a full refund and also alternate travel if that is the choice that they provide.
Flights have been suspended at the IGI Terminal 1 following the incident which killed 1 person and injured 8 others. But the question remains, is India prepared for the monsoon?
Well, that's all that we could pack in this edition of This is Exclusive. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time with more exclusive stories.
Where the software engineer meets the talented photographer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University. Get ready to witness the best technology extravaganza of the year. The first edition of the Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards has received an overwhelming number of nominations. Dominating the categories are AI and robotics, healthcare, edutech, fintech, banking and finance, and martech. Groundbreaking innovations and revolutionary ideas from the largest digitalized economy in the world. Join us as we celebrate India's incredible digital growth story. Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards, Friday, 5th July 2024.
Hi there, good to be back.
Get Me Right, your deep dive show on what matters to you, what concerns you. From your state government raising fuel prices to the impact of elections in the European Union on India's geopolitical positioning. From supply chain disruptions due to the war in Europe to national security consequences for India of increasing Chinese belligerence in the Indo-Pacific, or even the water crisis in the national capital. If there's a story which matters to you, come here every weekend for insights that complete the picture with the right perspective. Get Me Right. This week I bring to you two stories that panned out over the broad news canvas past week. You might have picked up bits and pieces of them here and there, but they are important enough for a big picture lowdown. First up is the impact of populist measures announced during campaign rhetoric by political parties on the finances of some state governments, and how those impact not just your pockets in the present, but add to the debt you have to pay in future. Second is about resurgence of the right wing across Europe and Americas. We will understand why it's happening and what are going to be its consequences for us in India. Let me get you the first one. I was alarmed personally hearing a soundbite on the desk this week. Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu warned of cutting down forests in his jurisdiction to raise revenue unless the centre compensated the state for the in-shambles finances. Sukhu was honest in that he said the forests, 88% of the land area of Himachal, act as a huge slung space for North India and would be detrimental to environmental health if lost to revenue deficit.
हिमाचल के पास जितना भी पानी है अपने राज्य की जरूरत को छोड़कर हम सारा पानी चाहे दिल्ली है चाहे कोई और राज्य हम उनको देने के लिए तैयार है क्योंकि हिमाचल प्रदेश भी इस देश का एक भाग है तो पानी रोकने का कोई औचित्य किसी प्रकार से नहीं बनता लेकिन जो लीगल हिच है जैसे कि पानी ने आना है तो हरियाणा से होकर आना है फिर वो दिल्ली पहुंचेगा तो वो हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट से दिल्ली को सहमति बनानी है हमें कोई हिच नहीं है
Sukhu led the Congress to power in the state last year on the back of promises ranging from restoration of the old pension scheme to cash tolls of rupees 1,500 per month to all women. For the limited rollout of the OPS, the Himachal government increased VAT on diesel by rupees 3 per litre. The women's cash dole scheme is yet to see the light of day, for which it seems Sukhu has threatened a forest burn.
हजारों करोड़ रुपए हम कर्नाटक की जनता को और किसानों को वापस देने जा रहे हैं 2,000 रुपए मिलेगा आपको हमारा एक और स्कीम होगा जिसका नाम सखी है तीसरा वायदा अन्न भाग्य स्कीम चौथा वायदा गृह ज्योति युवा निधि स्कीम के माध्यम से हम 3,000 रुपए हर महीने कर्नाटक के हर ग्रेजुएट को 2 साल के लिए देंगे
In Congress-ruled Karnataka down south, we saw back-to-back headlines of increase in fuel, electricity and milk prices last week, as also government weighing in revising water charges in urban areas, particularly Bengaluru, given those have stagnated for the last 10 years. The government has been forced to engage the Boston Consulting Group to find revenue sources, apart from seeking the centre's support package to deliver on the promises Congress made during last year's assembly elections.
There is a lot of last 10 years, water tariff in Bangalore has not been increased. It is suffering a great loss. We have to take new projects. No bank is coming forward to finance the BJP.
In neighboring Kerala, the same story of revenue deficit has prompted the left government to approach the centre for fiscal indulgence by way of increased borrowings, even as the State Finance Minister K.N. Balagopal saw a direct cash package of rupees 24,000 crores during his pre-budget consultations with Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. To make promises and not be able to keep them is bad politics and bad economics, ultimately leading people down the rabbit hole, which can lead to a social stagnation
not unfamiliar to India, particularly of the pre-reform generation. And remember, while NDA-ruled states like Bihar or Andhra might seek their share of union government's additional budgetary support to meet their growth ambition, those can't be compared with economically sounder states like Karnataka and Kerala. A look at RBI data of major states last fiscal shows major states that have revenue surplus include Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Telangana, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and Assam. While states running revenue deficit include Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Haryana, Punjab, and Rajasthan. The pattern of NDA-ruled states being revenue surplus, except for Telangana, and Indie bloc-ruled states being revenue deficit, except for Maharashtra and Haryana, is indicative of how the revenue math gets played out. Not to argue that BJP is above populism temptations when it comes to states. Despite Prime Minister's very public positioning of populism as रेवड़ी culture,
आजकल हमारे देश में मुफ्त की रेवड़ी बांटकर वोट बटोरने का कल्चर लाने की भरसक कोशिश हो रही है। ये रेवड़ी कल्चर देश के विकास के लिए बहुत घातक है। इस रेवड़ी कल्चर से देश के लोगों को और खास करके मेरे युवाओं को बहुत सावधान रहने की जरूरत है।
We have seen BJP too giving in to the pressures of competitive campaigns on fiscally unsustainable welfareism.
अभी तक 23 साल या उससे ज्यादा की उम्र की जो बहनें शादीशुदा होती थी उनको योजना का लाभ मिलता था, लेकिन कन्यादान योजना में कई बेटियों की शादी 21 साल में ही हो गई, तो अब 21 साल की बेटी भी जो है उनको भी लाडली बहना योजना का लाभ दिया जाएगा।
But if one looks at the picture from the New Delhi vantage, Modi gets a thumbs up on fiscal management that is classical conservatism.
In the past, if you look at, and even in the times when I was worked with the government, this government has met its fiscal targets diligently. So there's absolutely no question of the fiscal target being missed. I don't know who was talking about it. I think there was no question about it.
But for the COVID slip, not only has the Modi government stuck to fiscal consolidation roadmap under the FRBM Act targets, but it has also attained a level of finesse in targeted social welfare distribution through the digital public infrastructure created on the Aadhaar backbone. There are studies to show that the digital governance has eliminated middleman-driven corruption, better targeted beneficiaries from deprived sections, and plugged leakages that add to fiscal health of the government. In a way, it's an old yet recurrent debate every election cycle, that of welfare versus populism. State welfarism, or the philosophy of the state taking care of its citizens, if not fully, then in good measure, is as old as the conception of the idea of state itself. From Ram Raj in Indian epics to Kautilya's Arthashastra to Ashoka's Dhamma, India has had a civilizational understanding of a welfare state. In the Western world, of course, all ideas lead to Rome. There are records that show the Roman plebeian council approving distribution of free grain in the 2nd century before Christ. By 3rd century of the Common Era, or after Christ, the grains were replaced by bread, each subsequent emperor adding his own bit of individualism that saw stuff like olive oil, wine, and pork getting added to the welfare doles. One Roman emperor is said to have started free entertainment events called ludi, which were part financed by the public exchequer with personal funds of presiding officials embellishing the splendor quotient. Though there were no elections to be won, the masses had to be kept happy. Like when the DMK in Tamil Nadu promised color television sets back in 2006, calling them a necessity at par with roti, kapda, and makan. Ultimately, there's nothing called a free lunch. For every free bus ride women in Karnataka are getting, it's likely someone in the family is spending more than the ticket price in the fuel burn post the price hike. India's social sector spending stands at roughly 10% of the GDP. The figure is upwards of 25% for the developed economies of the OECD countries, which, by the way, also means that welfarism is not bad. It's even a necessity, perhaps, for low per capita income country like India to sustain basic minimum quality of life for its masses. But the ludi should not cross over into the ludicrous zone, and that we have to work together, the center and the states and all the political parties, to increase the pie to be shared. The GDP that makes us middle-income country. After all, a rising tide raises all boats, as they say.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School, Bengaluru.
With over 1,12,718 startups igniting innovation, driving digital growth, over 800 million internet users are bridging distances and strengthening bonds across the globe, making India the third largest digitalized country in the world, accounting for around 46% of the world's real-time digital transactions. To celebrate the makers and shakers behind Digital India and India's phenomenal digital yatra, Republic Business is delighted to bring its inaugural Republic Business Emerging Tech Awards.
सर माइक तो दे दीजिए।
माइक मैं बंद नहीं करता हूं, पूर्व में भी आपको व्यवस्था दी थी, यहां कोई बटन नहीं होता।
All right, let's move on to the second focus this week. On Monday, President Emmanuel Macron told in a podcast interview that the danger of a civil war was real in France.
As the head of the army, as head of security, I will be determined and I will fight in every way against Islamist terror. What they expect, the trap, is the trap you are going to fall into, civil war.
In fact, as we speak, the French are going through a snap poll for their legislature, ordered by Macron following a defeat his Renaissance party faced in the European Parliament elections a fortnight ago. Far-right national rally of Marine Le Pen won double the vote share of Macron's party, prompting him to seek mid-term validation from the people so that he could continue to govern. From Berlin to Rome, from Vienna to Budapest, European capitals have felt the ripples of the continent-scale shift happening in their politics. The rise of the political right is a reality with which the European establishment has come face to face. And how? There's a reason why I said establishment. For much of the post-World War II period, the mainstream establishment in the West has been left, center-left, or right of center. With the colonialism capital providing deep pockets and the Marshall Plan giving tailwinds, Europe became an economic powerhouse early in the post-war era. The rich world created for itself a welfare state that effectively took care of its citizens from the cradle to the grave. Out of the comforts of those riches came concepts like postmodernism. Broad contours of European welfarism included social protections along with social inclusions, political responsibility of livelihoods, and ironclad commitment to democracy. Much of it, frankly, because the state could afford it. They were rich, they had the money. Cushioned by the riches, the state machinery became predominantly occupied with wealth distribution. Concepts like equality and equity became pronounced in politics, leading to a sway of Marxist ideas. Liberalism became the natural creed of politics, and hence the mainstream establishment. Right was fringe, right was extreme, right was illiberal, right was shunned. In fact, so entrenched became the left that across Europe there emerged something called cordon sanitaire in French, which means a firewall, a well-organized attempt to keep the right-wing forces away, to keep them pinned as reactionary extremists, with all sorts of center-left coalitions coming together to keep them away from the levers of power. But as they say, every idea has a life cycle, a parabola that peaks, plateaus, and then comes down. While European welfarism became an ideal, even seeping into international institutions of governance like the United Nations, back in these societies, there were some deleterious consequences. The fracture of family as an institution was one. While the rise of Europe was characterized by Renaissance and Reformation era Lutheran and Protestant work ethic, the welfarism has produced wokeism, where LGBTQ plus rights and the Palestinian cause take precedence over immediate societal needs. There might be a direct correlation between the increasing wokeism in these societies and the economic woes being faced. Climate activism and its footprint on policy making has had an adverse economic fallout. For much of the last decade and a half, the European economy has been mildly recessionary. The 0.3% growth in positive territory in the first quarter of 2024 has led to a hurrah of relief. Imagine, if India grows at 7%, it's called a slow rate of growth. China is considered anemic if it falls below 5%. You get the drift. The need for hands for physical labor was another consequence of postmodernism. There's a reason why, on a short visit to any of these nations, you would find the janitors and the taxi drivers, nurses, and the subway sandwich maker belonging to non-European nationalities. A mix of colonial guilt and the need for those hands led to a liberal immigration regime in most of these societies. Wars from Afghanistan to Syria have added to the migrant rush, which became a tide over the last couple of decades. Now, Europe has a problem at hand that has become a full-blown crisis. France, for example, which had 7% of its population made up of foreign-born nationals at the turn of the century, has seen the number go up to 12.5% this year, prompting an anti-immigrant law, which Macron pushed and the French legislature passed December last year. In Germany next door, Chancellor Olaf Scholz is also facing the heat. The far-right AfD has made a big jump, becoming the second largest party after the Social Democrats. Not unsurprisingly, Germany's Greens were the biggest losers in the European polls, punished by voters for the cost of policies to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Job loss to the migrants and restrictive climate policies, clashes rooted in cultural differences, unending waves of illegals stretching public infrastructure, prohibitive living costs, unaffordable housing, have all come together and created a political situation where even working classes in Europe find the left-of-center zeitgeist less attractive than earlier. Let's look at just one of the fallouts of the migrant issue, crime. As I run these graphics on your screen, you would get an idea of the scale of the crisis. The rise of the right must be seen in this backdrop. Geert Wilders heralded the shift late last year in the Netherlands. Giorgia Meloni in Italy and Viktor Orban in Hungary have been holding forth for a while. In fact, already influencing policy making at the European level through the presence of their party MEPs, or members of the European Parliament, in the continental body. Marine Le Pen called June results return of the nations. Wilders' Party for Freedom is the fourth far-right party to gain power in an EU state in recent years, following Hungary and Italy. Going by the European Parliament elections results, Austria, France, and Germany might follow the trend, with the far-right Freedom Party, the National Rally, and the Alternative for Germany polling higher than the current governments. There's already a domino. In Canada this week, the Conservatives wrested Toronto riding seat in a by-poll from Trudeau's Liberals. The seat shifting to right after a long time. Across the Niagara Falls, momentum is already building up for a Trump comeback. To be sure, the EU vote has not given control over to the far right. The centrist coalition still holds majority under Ursula von der Leyen. But the shift is clearly towards forces that are seen to be representing the angst on the ground against immigration, economic woes, and social fracture. Now let's understand what are going to be the consequences of this on Europe, on the rest of the world, and for us in India. For Europe, there would be visible recalibration of policy making on environment, immigration, on what still constitute the mainstream parties. There could be clear consequences for the Ukraine war. Remember, the far right is traditionally Eurosceptic and hence less anti-Russian. They don't see the Russia-Ukraine war as of their making, and to that extent would influence Europe's overall support to Ukraine going forward. If you add to it the possibility of a Trump comeback across the Atlantic, then we are looking at some difficult times for Zelensky. Hungary and Poland have built border fences. It's become a France versus UK issue as well, with the likes of Nigel Farage saying stop funding France till it stops the boats. UK's Rwanda plan has been symptomatic of the scale of the problem. Europe has never been as closed as this before. It's still not a tipping point in terms of an existential crisis for the European Union. It survived Brexit, but there's a message from a restless EU citizenry that issues of migration and economic mess are real and need addressed. For India, well, we shifted right decisively in 2014. Despite the June 4 blip, Prime Minister Narendra Modi remains firmly in control. The melody memes from the G7 summit earlier this month have not died down. Geert Wilders took very pro-India positions even before he crashed into the headlines last year in the Netherlands. With China in a Gramscian war of position with the West, the realignments towards right in the Euro-Atlantic world add to the already building synergy on both economic and political fronts between India and the West. Good for us. Thanks for watching.
Did Narendra Modi go wrong? Is there a problem between Mohan Bhagwat and Narendra Modi? Does the Sangh believe the BJP has grown too big for its boots? Was the Sangh angry with JP Nadda's interview in the Indian Express where he said that we do not need the electoral help of the RSS? These are questions on everyone's conversation.
I do not know what Mohanji thought because Mohanji spoke after 4 days of my writing the article. It just shows that Swayamsevak have similar thinking. And he's a supreme leader, he thinks before he speaks and every word of his is measured. As I said, the context was wrongly chosen. And secondly, he also talked of the fake news which affected RSS also. RSS was dragged into the election, which was not done. And since you talked about provocation, there is no provocation. It's just that organizer asked me to, write an article about lessons of 2024. And I sat down to write, and all the things that came to my mind, I put it down. And
you were writing on
organizer is good enough.
You were writing on your own.
Yeah, organizer good enough that they said, I asked them whether they want to publish it. They said there is no harm at all.
Get ready to witness the best technology extravaganza of the year. The first edition of the Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards has received an overwhelming number of nominations. Dominating the categories are AI and robotics, healthcare, edutech, fintech, banking and finance, and martech. Groundbreaking innovations and revolutionary ideas from the largest digitalized economy in the world. Join us as we celebrate India's incredible digital growth story. Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards, Friday, 5th July 2024.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
Where the software engineer meets the talented photographer to create the big dream. The world comes together at Sharda University.
Hotel Management with AI. Join International Institute of Hotel Management.
With over 1,12,718 startups igniting innovation, driving digital growth. Over 800 million internet users are bridging distances and strengthening bonds across the globe, making India the third largest digitalized country in the world, accounting for around 46% of the world's real-time digital transactions. To celebrate the makers and shakers behind Digital India and India's phenomenal digital yatra, Republic Business is delighted to bring its inaugural Republic Business Emerging Tech Awards.
Get ready to witness the best technology extravaganza of the year. The first edition of the Republic Business Emerging Technology Awards has received an overwhelming number of nominations. Dominating the categories are AI and robotics, healthcare, edutech, fintech, banking and finance, and martech. Groundbreaking innovations and revolutionary ideas from the largest digitalized economy in the world. Join us as we celebrate India's incredible...
Mohan Bhagwat's particular comment, which added fuel to the fire, and although he did not attribute it to anyone, but it happened in the immediate aftermath of the results, and when he starts speaking in that speech, he says, जो वास्तविक सेवक है, उसमें अहंकार नहीं आता कि मैंने किया. The प्रधानमंत्री जी refers to himself as प्रधान सेवक. Comment is made after the results. सबको पता है that the reference is an attempted reference to the Prime Minister. Was it not?
This was a special training batch of the Sevakari people. So when Sevakari people say this, that you must not have arrogance when you serve the people, this is right from Swami Vivekananda's time. And every Sarsang Chalak, right from Dr. Hedgewar, I can quote you the actual...
But it was not a general comment.
It was a general comment.
It was not a general.
It was comment for the Sevaks who were sitting there.
Induction of RSS abusers, you spoke about this, induction of congressmen who had actively promoted the bogey of saffron terror and persecuted Hindus, who called 2611 RSS ki sajish and branded the RSS as a terrorist organization, became BJP leaders without as much of a regret note that they had made a mistake. Who are you talking about? Name the person, no, kya hai?
I put the name.
No, tell me who is the person.
This person later, after the article of 4 days, he released a regret letter from BJP letterhead from BJP headquarters, Kripa Shankar Singh. He said, I made a mistake, and I was influenced by Digvijay Singh, and this and that. There is a long letter he has sent. So he released the letter. So when you express your opinion, somebody listens.
But you thought that was a mistake. It was a terrible mistake, wasn't it? That why do you think the BJP did it? I was also wondering, why did the BJP go all out to get people who he thought was winnable or was adding numbers in individual constituencies?
Now, whether he's winnable or not, that would be BJP
or adding
round report. I wouldn't know.
He thought it would hurt others.
Naturally, these are the kind of people who lost elections.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and welcome. You watching The Burning Question with me, Shavan Sen. Ladies and gentlemen, the first session of the 18th Lok Sabha is already underway. A resurgent opposition with a higher number this time was hoping that they would be in a better position to corner the government. In fact, the fight began with the Speaker's position, so much so that there were threats that were actually issued by the opposition party saying that we'll bring down the government because we have got the numbers and that the NDA is on the tenterhooks. This week has passed. On the burning question tonight, we'll sum through whatever has happened in the parliament. Has the opposition parties been able to achieve what they had basically targeted? Now, this is the 18th Lok Sabha, which began on Monday. And unlike in 2014 and 2019, the mood, however, seems to be very different in the House, and it is expected to be also different. A resurgent opposition who basically claims that they have the numbers this time, cranked up on the NDA government. Ladies and gentlemen, in just about 1 week, the parliament, it's got abundantly clear that Rahul Gandhi's opposition is picking up where they had left off last time. Is there any new issue that we are really talking about? Yes. In fact, there's an image that I'm going to show you in the course of the burning question. One image that you would constantly see the opposition parties referring to time and again. And that is the Constitution of India, which almost appears to be like a prop for the opposition parties, waving it almost like it's a marketing tool for the opposition parties here. What exactly have they really achieved? That's going to be our core focus this time. There has also been a disruptive tactic that has been adopted once again by the opposition, saying that, look here, since we've got the numbers, we have the right to disrupt the parliament. They've made a huge issue of the Speaker's post, and again, in a similar way that they've done it in the last time. Then if nothing really has worked, then they started raising the NEET issue. If you remember, what started as a spontaneous attempt by the students to raise about issues plaguing the National Testing Agency, and which I may say so, that yes, these are issues that ought to be raised. But the fact of the matter is that can we really afford to have students, their future, to be played by some political parties for just their vested interest? That's a burning question. But before that, let's take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Jabalpur and Rajkot, after Delhi apathy crushes citizens in Delhi, canopy collapses in Jabalpur and Rajkot airport, but politicians busy passing the buck. Probe in NEET scam gathers pace, CBI arrests journalist in Jharkhand, conducts searches in Gujarat. Government says Congress opportunists want chaos. Victim of the Kuch Bihar horror narrates her ordeal, says her sari was torn, she was pulled by hair, dragged and assaulted by Trinamool Congress goons. West Bengal governor seeks report. Indian origin astronaut Sunita Williams is stuck in space. NASA finds measures to solve the issue. Prayers in India for her safe return. No relief for Delhi Chief Minister in litigate probe. Arvind Kejriwal sent to judicial custody till 12th of July in excise policy case on CBI plea. Well, through this week, if there is one image that I'm sure each one of you must have seen, is that of the Constitution of India. In fact, I'll refer to that right now, because this is the image that you may have seen through the week. And this is what the opposition wants you to see again and again. But I will also place the issues that they have raised. Now, The Constitution, as you can see, this was a protest that took place outside the Gandhi statue in the Parliament. You have almost all the opposition parties, the Trinamool Congress, the Congress, all coming in, once again saying that the Constitution should be protected. They think that this is exactly what has worked for them in this election, so they can basically use this as some sort of a marketing tool. Over the course of the burning question, I will actually tell you how the spirit of the Constitution has been destroyed by these same very parties who feel that it is the birthright to use it for their own narrow political interest. As far as the ruling dispensation is concerned, are they really on the back foot this time, given the fact that you've had several issues plaguing, particularly in the manner that NEET examinations have been handled, and not just NEET, there are several other examinations, competitive examinations which have come under the scanner, which have been completely compromised, but there is a larger issue that has also been raised. Joining us on the burning question tonight from the BJP, you have Sardar R.P. Singh, Patabi Raman from the TDP is going to join us, Subrashta, and I'll also take you through the guests who are joining us on this broadcast. But before that, let me just quickly take you through a consolidated report of what really happened in the Parliament through this entire week.
I, Rahul Gandhi, having been elected a member of the House of the People,
our constitution long live! Long live, long live!
That I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which I am about to enter. Jai Hind, Jai Samvidhan.
मैं पीड़ित हूं, मैं अचंभित हूं। भारतीय संसदीय परंपरा इतनी गिर जाएगी कि प्रतिपक्ष के नेता वेल में आएंगे, डिप्टी लीडर वेल में आएंगे।
एक मिनट, एक माननीय सदस्य की शपथ है, प्लीज प्लीज। एक शपथ है, शपथ। माननीय सदस्य, एक माननीय सदस्य की शपथ है। प्रतिपक्ष के माननीय नेता, इनको सबको समझाओ कि कब उठना है, कब बैठना है।
तानाशाही मुर्दाबाद, तानाशाही मुर्दाबाद। जय संविधान, जय संविधान। भारत में कर रहना है, जय संविधान कहना है।
माननीय सदस्यगण, हर विषय।
The opposition's strategy hasn't really changed. They are back to their same old tricks to disrupt Parliament. Will BJP benefit by India adopting same stale parliamentary tactics? That's the burning question tonight.
Joining us on the burning question tonight, we have Sardar R.P. Singh of the BJP, Patabi Ram of the TDP, Subrashta, political analyst, joining us, along with Congress being represented by Shyam Prasad Mekka, Akashdeep Muni, political analyst, Akhilesh Katiyar, Niladri Bhattacharya, and Pula Rao. Let me straight away begin by asking Subrashta this, because Subrashta, if there's one dominating theme this week in the Parliament, it has been whether at all the Constitution can actually be used in the manner the opposition is actually using it. Some argue, what's wrong in it? The Constitution belongs to every Indian, so the opposition is only reminding the NDA, the ruling dispensation, that you ought to follow what's there in the Constitution.
Yes,
Shravan, I would want to ask a counter question to you. Has anything in the past that has happened in the last 10 years, has anything been unconstitutional? Yes, there have been instances where the opposition has felt and has vociferously argued that means of proposing a bill might have been undemocratic. But I don't think it accounts for being unconstitutional. There's a difference between the two. The opposition might feel that democracy is in threat, but the same democracy has given them a mandate to be a responsible opposition. It is also constitutional on part of the opposition to accept the mandate and behave like a responsible opposition. It is also constitutional to understand that in order for bills to be passed in the parliament, it has to go through certain committees. And as responsible members of the committee, whether you belong to the proposition or the opposition, you need to have a strong voice with cogent arguments. I don't understand what is unconstitutional about this. And frankly, Shravan, I think this whole argument and this whole narrative by the opposition of constitutionality versus non-constitutionality is becoming jaded. We have been debating it ever since the Constituent Assembly debates. And I think in 2024, we need answers to specific questions. Like, why has the systemic rot in our education system led us to a situation like NEET scam? Why has the Terminal 1 airport in Delhi, for that matter, not been taken care of as it should have been taken care of? Who is actually responsible for it? Is it just the government in power today, or is it a systemic issue? These are questions that the opposition should grapple with rather than giving us general gyan on constitutionality or not. All of us, as aware Indian citizens, know what the Constitution of India mandates. The Constitution of India did not mandate an emergency, but this country saw an emergency in 1975. The Constitution of India did not mandate that the word secular be added to it surreptitiously, but it was done. And lo and behold, it was done very constitutionally, if the opposition were to argue that way. What I'm trying to say is, let the parliament function. Play the role that people of this country have mandated you to play. Do not go, jump on the bandwagon and become an extra democratic. Don't don the extra democratic layer on yourself.
Shyam Prasad Becker, you've heard what Subhrashtra has said. Was it in the spirit of the Constitution when about 1 lakh people, they were illegally detained under MISA, when the emergency was brought in? Was it in the spirit of the Constitution? You say that we are living at a time when our democracy is at threat. And as Subhrashtra said, this is the same democracy that has given you the mandate to perhaps even waive that very constitution inside the parliament.
Seven. See, I've been hearing to the pitch setting of you, and also I'm patiently and carefully listening to Subhrashtra ji as well. I know her from her days in JNU. Okay, I follow her. I like her very much. She's a very good speaker in the national spectrum currently. Okay, now coming to this issue, Seven, what is wrong? First of all, as a politician, I am very happy if my country's politics are revolving around constitution. Why so many people, why some of the people are getting so rattled when the constitution is brought out to the center stage? That is exactly what is our question. Why? Why you are doing whataboutery? See, is it not a good thing that we are talking about constitution? We are talking about the articles of the constitution. We are talking about the aims and objectives enshrined in the constitution, in the preamble of the constitution. Is it not incumbent on the political parties to be guided by the preamble of the constitution and the objectives laid in there while doing their politics? Or do we need to do politics based on jingoism, periodically chest thumping, fist pumping? Is that what we are talking? Is that what we are teaching to the citizens of this country? What is the problem?
Okay, you say what is the problem? Okay, you made your opening remark. Okay, you say what is the problem? Sardar RP Singh, why should there be a problem if at all you have certain political leaders, political parties waiving the constitution? As a reminder, as they